It's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are live here on this May the 4th be with you, Star Wars Day. It's Friday. Welcome. You made it. And actually, it's kind of funny. I just got the new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, and I thought it was a great movie. I don't know. Some people are really upset with it. I don't know what they didn't like. I haven't read the criticisms because I avoided it on purpose because I hadn't had a chance to see the movie. So I got it and watched it last night, and I thought it was really good. I don't know. I mean, you know, it'll never be the original 1970s plus series of Star Wars. I mean, there's just no way to recapture that magic and awe, but I think they're doing a hell of a job on these, and they're fun, they're entertaining, and it continues the Star Wars universe. So, love it or hate it, I don't know. I thought it was great. I had a good time watching it, good laughs, and I thought the characters were pretty cool, and it was a good time. So that's my Paranormal Portal review of The Last Jedi. But man, a lot of people are pissed about it. I don't know what it is, but there was like some real hardcore Star Wars fans that were begging Lucas to take it, or not Lucas, but Disney to take it back. Let's do it over. Don't do this. So, not sure what exactly happened, but they were pretty bent out of shape about something. But pretty cool. Anyway, that's not what this show is about. But, you know, the Force be with you. The Fourth be with you. May the 4th. And I managed to go all day without sending out one of those memes or anything, and I feel like I missed something, like I missed an opportunity to fit in a little more than normal. I don't know. I saw some cool ones, though, so hope you guys had a great Friday. It is the end of the week. You made it. It was a beautiful day here, and I'm just like sun-cooked and tired and worn out, but every time that theme music starts, I can be just all exhausted and just about ready to fall asleep. But once that theme music starts for the portal, it's just like, I'm good. We're going. So here we are, everybody. This is our show, and I am your host, Brent Thomas, and you are listening to me live. This is not a pre-record. This is not, unless you're listening to it on another time and date, and then it is. It's a recording at that point, but right now it's live. So you got that going for you. So first off, I just want to let you know that if you are interested in being a part of the show, I always love hearing from you guys. The call-in number will work. We do a Wednesday YouTube-only stream, and I have to continually remind everybody, including myself, that the call board does not work, because if they call during that show, they'll get Zach and Gematria on. And he's, he's a good guy, and he is, I'm sure he's into the paranormal as well, but it's not his show. So I have to remind people, don't call it, because when we stream on YouTube, if you're not seeing me right now, ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing the sound of my voice, but you're not seeing me, you can watch this broadcast live on YouTube, youtube.com/paranormal portal, and you'll see me doing what I do right now. But on the tile that Nick made for us, there is a call-in number. So I got to continually remember Wednesday nights the call line doesn't work. So, but if you want to call in, yeah, again, I kind of lost myself there. The call-in number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998 or 833-TFR-LIVE. Again, 833-TFR-LIVE. And you can be a part of it. If you're calling from the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. Again, 44203-393-2871. So you have some options. And there's just no excuse. If you've got something to say, you should definitely be saying it. Let me shut down Facebook before that chirps in my ear, because it always broadcasts that chirp as well, and it's not quite as professional as I'd hoped. Right off the bat, though, tonight, I want to read this really beautiful listener email that we got. And this is from a listener. Her name is Zara Hilton. And she wrote this account. Last Wednesday's stream, we did near-death experiences. Tonight we're doing out-of-body experiences. I know they're very similar and stuff, but I think the night she wrote this, we were doing, I don't know if it was like, I don't remember what show it was. I guess when I read it, it'll come back to me, because this all seems to bleed together sometimes. It's like, what show did we do? What do we have to do? Because I haven't done for a long time. I don't know. No, my organizational skills are really lacking. So anyway, here's Zara's email, and a really beautiful story. I just really loved it. But I wanted to wait till Friday, Saturday shows in order to read it, because then more of you get to listen to it. So, hey, Brent and Don, before I tell you about my encounter, you were able to use this on the air and say my name. This is Zara, a.k.a. Paranormal White Noise. I was in Turkey for my 40th, and it was about 5 days later when I was taken to Ephesus and to a few other places, including Mary Magdalene's house at the top of a hill. I went through Mary's house, only 2 rooms, and came out on the other side. There's a pathway where on one side was a few sinks in the wall and lots of pieces of paper in the gaps, and the other side is woodland. I would like to say the day was cloudy or even rained briefly. I was walking up this path, and when suddenly I smelled jasmine, and the clouds parted, and the sun rays shone down. I felt a sudden calm and peace. It's not really something you can put into words, but it has made me have a new appreciation for spirit. Hope you like the story, Zara. I think that's absolutely beautiful. The fact, if it were just one thing, like you smell jasmine, or you just saw a light beam come down that happened to be on you, you could say, yeah, it's, could be very coincidental. But the fact that both things happened at the same time, I think, is very profound, and it's got to be the presence of some kind of spirit or some kind of, energy that was directed specifically towards you. So that is a beautiful encounter, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. I absolutely appreciate it. I forgot to turn off the air conditioner. The studio gets so hot that I run the air conditioner before the show just to cool it down, because by the time I'm done, I'm still sweating, but at least it starts out good. And Don's not over in the corner tonight freezing, so we're okay. But thank you again for sending that in. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have a story of any kind of encounter or account, or would just like to talk about something paranormal, please feel free to email. You can email at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I'd love to share your stories, or if you just want to come to me personally, that's fine too. I've corresponded with many people that, the experiences were never aired and by their wishes, and that's perfectly good too. I'm just, I love discussing this stuff. I love to hear your thoughts on these things, and whatever you want to share, I'm thrilled to hear it. So that is the email, and you can use that as well. So either call in if you want to share an experience, or email, or you can possibly say it in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on it. Now, there's 2 options for chatting. You can either go to tfrlive.com/chat and create a username and password and chat over there. A bunch of wonderful people in there, and just phenomenal. And there's also the chat room on the YouTube channel. So again, that's youtube.com/paranormalportal, and look for the live broadcast, and there's an ongoing chat in there as well. So definitely some options, but it's harder for me to keep an eye on the chat when it's a Friday night, because Don's not here. And sometimes he has messaged me like on my phone or whatever. I should put my phone out in case Don's got emergency message me about something I'm missing, because I love it when he does it. He's like the Friday producer. So anyway, tonight's stories show is going to be about out-of-body experiences. And again, on Wednesday we did near-death experiences, and that was a lot of, I thought it was a really good show, because it's a topic that I'm extraordinarily passionate about. And I really think, those experiences are incredibly profound, and they seem to very much demonstrate that there is so much more after this. everybody seems to have, most everybody, I should say, seems to have some kind of belief that the spirit persists and we go to some other place. But when people actually do pass and experience those things firsthand and come back with these encounters, I think those are so powerful. And the transitions, the transformations that it has on the people who've experienced it. And, I think is absolutely profound that these people seem to come back feeling that they're supposed to spread the message. It was Deb's show. Okay. Ding dong. Zara wrote that in on Deb's show. Okay. I'm sorry. There's only one of me. And there's a lot of things going on in this head. So I didn't remember. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. He said ding dong on my chat. Bastard. He's all right. Okay, so anyway, I think the near-death experiences are absolutely profound and beautiful. Believe what you will, but some new studies have come out that have corroborated some old studies regarding the quantum state of microtubules in our brains changing at the point of death. And some scientists and physicists and a mathematician have determined that the information contained in the microtubules within our brain never gets destroyed, and that information could easily be referred to as the soul. So the information of you, who you are, is stored in microtubules in the brain that have a specific quantum state when you're alive, but as soon as your heart stops, the quantum state changes in these microtubules. However, the information doesn't just cease. This information is believed, and I assume it's mathematically proven, or scientifically proven, that it energetically continues into the universe. And so I think that's absolutely beautiful, and it's a great corroboration, because there are so many people that would like to say that near-death experiences are simply a rush of DMT that's released at the point of death in order to create a sense of calm and peace because of the oncoming demise. And so it's just basically a quick drug trip before you're just switched off. And I think that's horrible. I think personally that's horrible. That's a horrible thought, that it's just lights out. I guess it won't matter either way, because when we're there. We're doing one or the other. Either we're continuing on, or it's lights out. And I guess I choose to go to that point with a whole lot of hope and faith. And, if other people choose to go to that point with, well, game's over, and turn out the lights, then that's their play. I don't know. But tonight we're going to discuss out-of-body experiences. Now, out-of-body experiences seem to be very similar in many ways to the near-death experiences, the NDEs, OBEs, or whatever referred to as out-of-body experiences. And there's a lot of correlating things between them, in that many people having NDEs reports seeing themselves from looking down from a ceiling, or going to another place as they're having this NDE, and seeing people that are thinking about them, like a child has an out-of-body or a near-death experience and goes to another room where the parent is talking to the doctor and can listen and report back when they were revived to what was said. That is very similar to what an out-of-body experience is like. So we're going to get into that a little bit tonight and explore that phenomena as well. And it seems to go really hand in hand, so I thought it'd be cool to line both shows up in succession, because they're a similar phenomenon, although, quite different, but then again quite similar. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you guys are interested in this. This is something that I'm very interested in. And I have to wonder, is this akin to the remote viewing, what the remote viewers are doing? Is that a controlled out-of-body experience? And I don't pretend to know a lot about remote viewing, other than, I know that there's a bunch of studies and from governmental agencies and spying and around the world to have remote viewers. And so are they doing this as a form of out-of-body experience, or is it just a matter of projecting the mind in more of a psychic fashion? I don't know. So I'm hoping we can answer some of these questions tonight. and see what you guys think. So let me get back to my stuff here. I got to close some tabs because it's all kinds of busy on my page, on my screen. So first of all, I want to go over an article because I thought this was interesting. This is from a site called wikihow.com, and this article is how to have an out-of-body experience. So I want to share this with you and see what you guys think. But now, out-of-body experiences seem to be the result of a profound state of relaxation and intention. And so these are supposedly steps. How big are they? They're pretty quick. So there's allegedly 5 steps in quick succession. But this is, again, wikihow.com. Do you want to float around in the astral plane without dying first? Are you longing to leave your body at home for a few hours to explore the cosmos? People report out-of-body experiences, OBEs, while dreaming, during near-death experiences, or through relaxation techniques such as meditation. For some people, having an OBE can be like being Alice in your very own wonderland. Read on to learn how to experience this on purpose. And so step 1 is readying your mind and body. Ready your mind and body. Choose a quiet place you find relaxing. You can be indoors or outdoors as long as you are comfortable. Make sure you won't be interrupted. OBEs are most common in the morning at 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. However, trying this at night or when you are tired will probably just make you fall asleep. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Many people choose to lie down on their backs, but be forewarned that temporary sleep paralysis is more likely in this position if you do fall asleep. These may consist of dark figures, ghosts, or whatever you fear entering your room. Though this may sound scary, the more you realize they cannot physically harm you, for they are your mind's creation, the less scary it is to endure. I'm not so sure about that, but all right, we'll go with that. Step 3, affirm to yourself that you are going to have an out-of-body experience. Say to yourself, mind awake, body asleep, or I will have a lucid dream. Repeat this several times until it is the only thought left in your mind. Close your eyes and relax is step 4. Become less conscious of your external surroundings, emptying your mind in thoughts and ideas. Meditation techniques can be helpful here to maintain an empty mind while still remaining focused and aware. Step 5. Allow yourself to almost fall asleep. Actually sleeping would defeat the purpose. Instead, let yourself drift close to sleep while concentrate on being conscious of your sensations and mental state. So according to WikiHow, that is how you can do it. I don't know. I can't say that I've ever experienced an out-of-body experience, and I'm a little, personally, taken aback by their correlation to that in lucid dreaming. I really don't think that they're one and the same, because lucid dreaming to me is a very conscious state of dreaming, but it's the ability to interact intelligently and actively with your dreaming state or with your dreaming environment. And I don't think that that is one and the same as an out-of-body experience. I personally would disagree with that, but again, I don't pretend to be an expert on this. I'm just sharing with you the knowledge or what I think I understand about it. And those are two very different things. Now, there are people that, may absolutely prove me wrong, and that's great. I'd love to learn more about this, but as it stands now, I don't think that they're the same. So many people have had out-of-body experiences. In fact, there is on YouTube, there are these guided meditations that you can download. And I actually have a friend who was talking about wanting to have an out-of-body experience, and she found one of those things on YouTube, and she was messaging me. She's like, hey, I'm going to try this out. And it was about 20 minutes later, she messaged me back. She said, oh my God, I'm just sitting here in tears. I just had the most amazing thing. I had an out-of-body experience. And apparently it was an absolutely beautiful thing. So it worked for her. I don't know that it would work for everybody. I assume it very well could, but It did for her. I didn't try it. She did send me the link, but I don't know. I guess I never got around to doing it myself. But she, however, has told me, or had told me soon after that she tried that same thing again, the same YouTube thing, and it did not work following that. And I don't know if it's because somehow there was a psychological expectation for what she was about to experience, whereas before it was an absolutely new experience. I'm not absolutely sure about that, but it was a very incredible experience for her and a very powerful experience. So I don't know if she's tried since. We unfortunately haven't been able to stay in touch as much, but yeah, I thought that was really cool that there are guided meditations out there that you can look for on YouTube that will allegedly guide you into this state, or can possibly guide you into this state. So it's always possible. So let me see. There was something else I was going to look for, but I did want to go through some people's accounts of out-of-body experiences. Now, there's several researchers out there, Dr. Charles Tart, Robert Monroe, Jerry Gross, and there's a lot of things you can read if you really want to look into this more, and these are things that I probably need to read a lot more as well, because I would like to understand this phenomena. And I don't know that phenomena is the right word for it either. I mean, it could just be a natural ability that we all have. It's just that we're not taught about these things. And here's the problem in a nutshell, I think, is that we are as profoundly energetic and quote unquote divine beings, which I believe we are. I think we are these sparks of whatever creative intelligence exists in the universe. We are sparks of that, and so therefore we have these amazing gifts and abilities that are inherent just by us being alive. However, we aren't actively taught these things, and it would be nice if there was some kind of Hogwarts out there for us, some kind of place where you would, and maybe there are, but again, if it was a way of life that we're taught these things, would that inspire us to live in a more balanced state, because we would feel more connected to the world around us, the natural world, the other people in the world? Would it help, with things like prejudice and I don't know, any other class-like categorization of people that damaged thinking ends up creating? If we all could connect on this level, it would seem to really even the playing field, in that there wouldn't be, such a distinction between peoples based on, whatever worldly measures there are, such as income, such as, what kind of car you drive, where you live, and then intelligence, and et cetera, et cetera. We find so many ways to divide ourselves, but something like all of us knowing how to project out of body and to project our consciousness out, if we were able to live more spiritually, and that, I'm air quoting that because, I don't ever advocate any one type of a school of thought as far as spirituality is concerned. I think that it's important to find your own, but all these things are out there, and if we are able to learn and able to touch these things, and to touch all that is in such a creative and profound way, I just have to believe it would be absolutely transformative. Sorry, I'm fumbling my words. As I said, I'm really exhausted today, but I'm really happy to be here doing the show. So these are just some nutshell thoughts. We are going to be moving up on the first break, of course, tonight. So then we're going to get into some of the encounters that people have had with their out-of-body experiences. And hopefully it'll help illustrate what this phenomena is to different people. And it seems to be just an incredibly magical thing. But I would like to say, if you're out there hearing the sound of my voice, I should look up the live stats. If you're out there hearing the sound of my voice and you're not watching me, you can do that. Again, we are on YouTube right now, youtube.com/Paranormal Portal. And I would love for you guys to subscribe. Don and I have been working really hard at expanding what the Paranormal Portal is and where we're at. Don has also been really working hard on creating a D-Tube presence for us, so we are also on D-Tube at this point. Not sure exactly where we're going to end up, how many places we're going to end up, but we definitely are trying to get the Paranormal Portal out there to as many people as we can. So spread the word, let people know, and we'll love you a long time. So we're going to take our first break, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go away. We will be back for more of the Paranormal Portal and out-of-body experiences. Don't go away. Pixie, you kill me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. I am Brent Thomas, your host, and this is our Friday evening show. It is live and unrehearsed, so I have no idea what the hell I'm going to say next, which can be exciting, but sometimes the chat rooms really throw me off. Don eats basement meat. That's funny. Only here on the Portal, ladies and gentlemen. We are a dysfunctional family, but we're full of love. And thank you for being a part of the family. This is definitely growing. It's definitely becoming bigger, better, and greater than ever before. And Don says, I was going to let him announce this tomorrow, but I thought since we were talking about the D-Tube thing, he says we're also on, what the hell is that message? No, I missed it. Where is it? He said... God, a lot happened then. Oh, it says we are on D-Live now also. D-Live is, I guess, I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it's another thing we're on. So I imagine it's associated with the D-Tube or Steam or whatever as well. But I think it's for the live broadcasting. D-Live. Yeah, I got it then. Thanks. He's eating basement meat, so he's typing slow or something. I'm not sure. He's got the basement grease on his fingers and gets all slippery. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, it's the live stream of Steam. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, Don, and thank you for all your hard work on that. That's really helped. And I don't know how it's going to go. When we'll start broadcasting on there live, I'm not sure yet, but it's going to definitely be something we're going to test the hell out of first because we've you know, you ever have that one guy you invite to the party and he just kind of barges in and like leans on the wrong tables and breaks stuff? Well, that's been the way we kind of came into YouTube, is we just kind of threw ourselves at it and broke a bunch of stuff. And yeah, it wasn't pretty. So I definitely want that to be something we do that we've tested the hell out of, because we've done enough of the barging in and making ourselves at home and not knowing how to do anything right. So, we're not on Patreon yet. I guess that's something we could look into as well. I don't know. We could be everywhere tomorrow. I don't know. We are just getting bigger and bigger. So I got my little baby Coke here. It's a cute little thing. Nobody asked about it. I just thought I'd volunteer that because I love them. I'm limiting the amount of Coca-Cola I can drink, so I've resorted to little baby bottles. But I just love Coca-Cola out of a glass bottle. There's nothing that comes close. There's no other soft drink that can compare to an ice-cold Coke from a glass bottle. Anyway, here we go. We're going to talk about out-of-body experiences again. Now we're going to get into some encounters of people who have had these experiences. And you guys can tell me what you think. But I think these could be... Let me see. Oh, sorry. These accounts I think are pretty cool. I haven't read through them ahead of time, but as I'm reading the titles now, it's like, wow. Using a prayer mantra of 1, Madonna was self-led into blissful out-of-body experience. This is from Madonna. I don't know if it's the Madonna, but because there's no link to her as a person as far as this is concerned. But let's see. I had an out-of-body experience similar to a near-death experience. I've never heard of going into a trance of white light or that a blissful experience of knowing God's love was even possible. But in the late 1970s, I picked up a book on transcendental meditation, read it, and decided to try and meditate while praying. I was praying for an answer to a prayer regarding a financial issue. Excuse me. I used the word 1 in my prayer, O-N-E, in my prayer mantra. I found myself in a white light and with a warm and blissful heart full of love. Everything around me was bright white and illuminated and pulsed love. The bliss felt similar to a sexual high. Well, it might be the real Madonna. Never known in my whole being. And it went on for hours. I remember saying, I have to go back to raise my son. I opened my eyes, and the room I was sleeping in was all illuminated in a white, light, cloud-like air. I looked out the window, and though it was supposed to be dark outside, it was illuminated also. I closed my eyes again and prayed to awake. It was a little out of my reality for comfort. I woke in the morning and, being full of glee, told my mother, who gave my son and I temporary housing until I found another job, that there was a God, and he loved everyone, even me, and unconditionally. She asked me why I was so excited and how I knew. I told her my story, and she just poo-pooed it. I've never been able to duplicate this experience, but for some reason, the sheer anticipation holds me conscience. True story. Holds my conscience. I don't know what that last sentence was all about, but yeah. So there you have it. It could have been the real one. This one is an anonymous submission. I'm a 20-year-old female from the United States. Ever since I can remember, I've been able to see entities. I can't hear them physically speak, but it's almost like they send me telepathic messages. I get pictures or memories in my mind, and I figure out what they're trying to say. Since this has been going on for such a long time, I'm pretty used to it. This is not like the guy, John Edwards, who just gets these messages in the middle of the day. No, I can see them. It usually happens either involuntarily, if I fall into a deep sleep and am relaxed enough, or I can do it on my own by simple meditation where I just fall into a trance. It sort of feels like I'm slipping out of my body, so sometimes I can even see myself in rooms in my house. And I've even managed to get myself into other houses. The problem is once I slip back, I guess I attract them. Right as I'm coming to, I always see a ghost or entity, whatever. Almost like one always follows me. It freaks me out a little because it always takes me some time to be able to move and talk. So I'm stuck there just staring at a ghost. Well, tonight was very different. I was sleeping, but I didn't feel as if I had slipped out or anything. I stayed in bed, but this sound woke me up. It was an sort of like a choir voice. I guess I didn't do a choir voice. Oh. Sorry. I thought it was outside because, like I said, I can't physically hear the others. And it was so bizarre, I woke up. I felt dazed and unable to move like I always do, but this time I hadn't gone anywhere. So I didn't understand just what the hell was going on. So I turned on my right side and saw this beautiful little creature. It was like a little girl, like a fairy, but the size of a child, with blonde hair and so white, translucent, that she had a robe and that was the same color as her skin. She was reaching out her skinny little arm to grab me. She didn't look like any of the others I've seen, not human, but she didn't have wings like an angel's is supposed to. The one thing that weirded me out and validated to me that she wasn't a ghost was when she was trying to pull me. I freaked out and asked her to go away in my mind, but instead she switched sides. The ones I've seen just stand there. She could float around really fast, so she started trying to pull on my other arm, and I said, "No, stop." And then she went back towards my right side and started floating feet first, facing me, up towards the ceiling, and started shrinking and shrinking until she turned into 2 circles of blue light and disappeared completely. I'd like to know if anyone has actually seen an angel so I'd know what they look like. I've never seen anything like this before. The night this happened, I was so freaked out I couldn't sleep a wink, so I stayed up all night. The light in the room, which I can only describe as being very blue, sort of like the bottom part of a flame, was so intense during the apparition it took me some time to be able to see. All I can think is whatever I saw must be a very powerful type of entity. The next morning I felt a lot of soreness in my arms. I didn't understand what was happening to me, as I couldn't have hit myself during the night before. I didn't sleep a wink, I just laid there all night. And I couldn't possibly hurt myself in a way that both arms were hit on each side. I finally could not stand how bad it hurt, so I went into the bathroom to check my arms. When I lifted up the sleeves off my shirt, there were 2 thumbprint-sized bruises, one on each side of my arm. Huh. Very crazy. Now, was that an angel? Was it trying to bring her or him somewhere to see something? I don't know. Would you go? So if something showed up in your room and you were kind of out of body, or it was standing there and it was beckoning you, would you go? I'm not sure if I would. I think I'd probably react the same way. Be like, nope, I don't know what the hell this is. Nope. Yeah. Now, Ken was saying in the chat room, and this is something I've heard several times before in regards to out-of-body experiences, that there is a danger to out-of-body experiences in the form of dark entities. Now, that first thing we read, which was the wiki how or whatever, said that they're all fabrications of your own mind, and so you don't need to be worried about it. But I know I've heard plenty of people relate horror stories of these things following them back and then being tormented by them in their regular life for quite a while. And then there are other people that claim that in out-of-body experiences, there is, for lack of a better term, like a tether or an umbilical type cord that goes from your soul to your body. And there are some things out there that maybe could sever that. I don't know if that's true or not, and I certainly can't speak to it by any measure, but I know that I've heard that claim several times, and, I guess it would be worth noting for the state of caution. But, it's a state that we're, unfortunately not very familiar with. I think it would be very profound if we were, if this was just another part of our reality is just projecting around. But very incredible. Sorry, I'm a little froggy. My spring allergies have started, and I have a bit of asthma, so I had to use my inhaler, which makes me a little gurgly. Okay. That didn't sound right at all. Not gurgly, but, it just feels like I want to cough all the time now. Boy in the hospital out-of-body experience. I decided to share my own OBE with a friend whom I once worked with for several years. Each of us was telling our stories about our own OBEs. One young man told me of how he fell on ice as a kid, and when his body smashed into the frozen ground, he floated up and out of his body. Lying there unconscious, kids and a teacher began to encircle him on the playground. As he remained unconscious, he watched as people were looking at him, wondering if he was okay. Of course, he was a silent observer of the crowd from the air above. After the young man shared his experience, my friend decided to tell us his story of being sick as a child. He was so sick that he spent time in the hospital, and after a while of being confined to a bed, my friend became bored. Through this state of boredom, he soon discovered through relaxing, he could float out of his body and walk around. The more he practiced, the easier it became to float out and explore, thus leaving the confining bed and hospital behind. Freedom was found through his mind. One night he decided to go a little further with his exploration and traveled all the way home to his parents' house. Being invisible, he went into his sister's room and was standing at the foot of her bed, watching her. She suddenly woke up and looked right at him and called his name. Somehow she perceived he was there, but could not see him. My friend later became well and had no need to leave his body any further. It's like a car. Yeah, I don't need it anymore. Huh. I should check. I hadn't been checking the call board. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if anything's been going on, but it's wide open, so we're okay. Labor out-of-body experience. I've had an out-of-body experience, but I'm still really scared of dying. Perhaps I might have confused an OBE with having a near-death experience, as I was expecting to see loved ones that had already passed. I was 19 at the time and 28 weeks pregnant with twins. I had gone into the hospital as my labor had started prematurely, and I was really quite ill and have had very serious nausea and was dehydrated. I was laying in bed and listened to what was going on outside my room. I was in a labor ward that was quite busy. The next thing I knew, I was looking at myself laying in the bed. I had left my physical body and was floating above myself, near to the ceiling. I could still hear the noise outside of my room, but I could not speak. My speech seemed to be transformed into thoughts. It was very strange, as nothing else was different in the room. It was still dark, and it was nighttime, and the noise outside the room was the same, and I was still in bed. As I started to realize what was happening to me, I became scared. Then I was back in my body, and I was awake. I didn't tell anyone about this until some time after, because I couldn't understand what happened to me. I wish it would happen again, though, because I have a lot more understanding now of what happened to me. And allegedly, this, it's possible to trigger these things with practice. So, I don't see why she couldn't experience it again. Now, granted, her being in labor, of course, is an incredibly traumatic experience for the body. Even though it's, completely a natural experience, it's still, it's like double tough, especially when she's got twins. My God. Not that I've ever birthed a child, but I've been at the births of children. And I can tell you what, thank God I'm a guy, because I don't know how they do it. I don't know how all you women out there do it. You are superheroes. My out-of-body experience happened unexpectedly. Often I would meditate for an hour by relaxing every muscle in my body and detaching from the physical world. When one does this, the mind clears and is open to hearing direction from the spirit that dwells within. My goal in meditation was to reach a state of mind where I wasn't aware of my body or the physical world. Sounds like DMT. I can tell you that's what it's like. One night I decided to meditate while in bed, having become completely relaxed as I had done many times. I felt the peaceful presence of spirit as I remained open to hearing truth and wisdom from within my innermost being. Unexpectedly, I began floating upward out of my body. My perception of my body at this point was that it was paralyzed, unable to move. Fear rushed into my head as I thought perhaps I had died. I didn't want to die, and there was much that I wanted to accomplish before I did leave this earthly plane. Excuse me. I could see my room clearly as this took place, like a pair of eyeballs. I floated up and out of my body, and I was unable to speak, though, as I didn't have a mouth, or so I perceived, because my mouth and vocal cords were left with my physical body on the bed. As I previously stated, I could see, but struggled to get back into my body, and as I fought to do so, I slowly came back in and was eventually able to speak. I struggled with forming words until I was completely in control of my physical body again. The entire time I was out of my body, I was trying to get my wife's attention by trying to yell, so she would wake up and try to wake me. Also, in my fear, I felt that if she could wake my body somehow, it would make me come back to it. Or maybe she would find that my body was dead and call an ambulance in the hopes of paramedics reviving me. This is my first and only experience with an out-of-body experience, but it showed me for certain that we are not only a physical body, but spirit as well. The Bible and many people speak about a silver cord. There you go. That's like the umbilical or tether that I was talking about. It is believed this cord connects a spirit to its body, and sometimes this can be seen during an out-of-body experience by those who can see into the spirit realm. This cord, if severed, will remove the life force from the body, and it will die. Many near-death experiencers have described death as a tall black figure with a giant scissor like cutters, perhaps to sever the cord for those whose time to cross has come. That's an interesting thought. I don't know that I've heard many claims of people actually experiencing a being, like a reaper type of being, but those legends persist and exist. So perhaps some people have, and that is a good idea as to why it carries that. Is pictured carrying the scythe to harvest you or cut the umbilical cord to free the spirit. I don't know. I'll have to look for that. That's an interesting thought. Experiences with a death being. I don't know how to... I'm not even sure how to Google that one. If you have an idea how to Google that one, ladies and gentlemen, let me know. All right, so a lot of these are people saying, God, this is what happened, and this is my only experience with it. And I wonder if it's because of such a state of trauma from being in this unexpected state and they just are afraid of it, or I don't know. Sleep apnea out of body. I was suffering sleep apnea and was hooked to a machine that detected any lapse in breathing. I was waking every 7 minutes and had stopped breathing for over a minute. Previous to being tested for sleep apnea, I had an experience over 2 nights, and I'm not sure exactly what had happened. I found myself floating above my bed, and when this happened, I looked around, and it was dark. I could see all the objects in my room, and I could see myself and my wife laying asleep. I could also see our long-dead cat looking up at me. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I had this overwhelming urge to leave the room and go, but I had no idea where. But it was very alluring. I felt a strong feeling that if I went, I would know everything I had ever wanted to know. This temptation I found very hard to resist. At some point, I realized that it was real, and I began to panic, trying to scream out to my wife, but she could not hear me. The strangest thing was that her eyes were open, but she was not awake, as if she was in some sort of trance, just looking upward. When I tried to get back to my body, I could not. I had heard of astral travel from my wife, but there was no cord, and it was not a pleasant experience at all. I felt there were eyes looking at me, but there was no one there. I had to use all my will to lower myself and somehow managed to turn upright, but was hovering either above my body or below it. Feeling out of control, I was so scared, and I was really pooping myself, and then I felt this massive jolt. I sprung up and woke my wife while talking what felt like 100 miles an hour about my experience. She informed me that I was safe, and if it happened again, to just relax and go with it. The next day, I felt mixed feelings of excitement and fear, and I especially remembered the overwhelming feeling of knowledge that was so close and the excitement of what I could have learned. I decided that if it happened again, I would stay calm and explore it. I got my wish. That same night it happened again, and I went straight into panic mode and experienced the same thing all over again. The out-of-body experience has not happened to me since, and although I would love to go back and be brave, I'm just too scared. I don't know if I died, astral traveled, or what happened, and I still have mixed feelings about the whole thing. Yeah, I imagine. That is incredibly powerful to be in that state of panic. And I imagine you'd be in a state of confusion if you had no preparation, no training. If it wasn't something you were deciding to do, then is it absolutely terrifying, frantic? You're out of control. Something's going on that you are not prepared for. Your whole paradigm is shifted. I like to say the word paradigm on this show. You'll hear it all the time. But it is a powerful word because it talks about an expectation of circumstance in your life, and when those circumstances change, you have to change with it. Or not, as in these cases, these people are not shifting very well with their paradigm. But then again, it's a human reaction. You're out of control. You don't know what the hell's going on, and it's got to be scary. I've had very lucid dreams and experienced very bizarre things, including seeing things that, I don't even know how to begin to explain. But, I just have never. I've traveled in my lucid dreams and flew around and did all that stuff, by thought and will. But I've just never, floated around seeing my body and then drifted around seeing other people and You know, I knew when I had these experiences that I was dreaming, that I was in the dream state. So perhaps when it's absolutely real, like, you know, it's not just a fabrication, then it becomes terrifying. But I had fun in those lucid dreams, but, you know, perhaps it's not the same phenomenon at all. Hard to say, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our hour break now. So don't go away, and we'll be back for more of the Paranormal Portal and our journey into out-of-body experiences. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. It's Chris.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
This looks extraordinarily bad.
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to hour number 2 of the Paranormal Portal. I hope you're enjoying tonight's show. I'm enjoying bringing it to you. I was just looking at my hand. It's like my hand looks tan, but my face looks red. How the hell did that happen? This really is my hand. It's not somebody else's hand. I'm like a Muppet here. Somebody's working the head and the hands are somebody else. I don't know. It was funny in my head. There's a lot of things going on there, but welcome back, and I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Tonight's show is about out-of-body experiences, and a lot of correlations between that and near-death experiences. There seems to be the same transition where people leave their body, and many of the people that we've discussed their stories, their testimonials, they think they're dying. They don't know what the hell's going on. So I can understand the panic. Yeah. Pixie says I should use self-tanning creams. You know, Pixie, I'll tell you what, I tried that because I'm a pretty fair complected person. And in the sunshine, I just get different shades of pink. So I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I should try these other ways of, you know, getting a tan. So I tried it. This is years ago. And I looked like a Cheeto myself. It was some kind of orangish color. It didn't work at all. So yeah, that was the end of that. But thanks for that advice. I appreciate that. I'll just have to deal with pink or peels. Pinks or peels. That's all I work with here, ladies and gentlemen, in the summer sun. I love the summer. I love the warmth, but the sun is absolutely brutal on this skin. So, paranormal white noise. Oh, okay. Is in here, but all you guys are in here. Thank you so much for all of you that are here watching and participating. I'll tell you what, the show is always a blast, and you guys are always awesome, but I'm telling you, there's like 2 paranormal portals. There's what's going on the radio, on what you're hearing, and then there's all the things that are going on in the chat room, and it's literally, and I'm not talking disparaging. I don't expect people to just, you know, sit with bated breath and pay attention to everything I'm doing, but it's just such a great community. It is like a party. You know, where different things are going on in the different places. The TFR chat room is outstanding, and those guys are always chatting. And I'm just saw Drone said something in the TFR live chat, and you know, then you turn the corner in a party, and the other people are doing something over there, and that's the way it is for the portal. So if you're missing the chat experience, I would definitely encourage you to get involved, because these are a bunch of amazing people. Incredibly supportive, and just a blast all around. And you'll just get hooked. That's all I'm saying. So let's continue our journey into the out-of-body experiences here, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see what other craziness we can dig up about out-of-body experiences. So in that last one, we did hear the story about the umbilical. So I mean, it's out there, that idea that there's some kind of tether, spiritual tether from the soul to the body. We've heard that mirrored in some of these stories. Is it a risk? Does that make it risky? I don't know. I don't know. I know that there's the belief out there that it does, that bad things can happen. And so, but then you got to wonder, is that just, if you only develop according to what seems easy, you'll never really develop. You've got to challenge those fears. You can't not try to expand your consciousness because of some fear, whether it's grounded in reality or if it's grounded in fantasy. I don't know. But I do hope to have out-of-body experiences. I think that that's an incredibly profound thing. And like I said before, I think it's an ability that we have, but we've just never learned how. And there's so many things we can do. If you subscribe to the idea that everything that we experience in this life is just a projection, if it's a projection of us as the architects, as the creators, then are we ever truly, really in any profound danger? Is it possible to be in profound danger? Now, I will tell you that we are also subject to fear and doubt, and most people are not extraordinarily self-assured. We're all running around this state of, flux of some kind. There are some people that are very focused and very developed, and they have none of these reservations at all. But most of us are in this state of, well, I'd like to try that, but what if? And we have all these different things bouncing around in our heads, these ideas, whether it's some kind of religious dogma or somebody just being sensational, spreading tales of, to try to exacerbate their accomplishments. I don't know. But I think that it's important for us to continue to work and manifest all that we are, because I believe that that's very instrumental to reshaping this world and making it better. Because whatever we've been doing, it worked for a long time, but we've outgrown it now. It's like trying to wear shoes from when you're in junior high and you're an adult. You just can't squeeze your feet into that anymore. It's not going to work. So you got to go out and find new shoes. And I think the same is true for, how we approach life. You can't approach it like a child. You've got to approach it like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. I may not always be the most eloquent of speakers, but I hope that at least the message is in there somewhere. So the next story is out-of-body experiences and ghosts. All right. Out-of-body experiences, OBEs, is a term to describe separation of a person's spirit from their body. OBEs usually occur during trauma, transition, in and out of sleep, or meditation. During the out-of-body experience, typically the spirit floats up and out of the body and effectively detaches. In rare cases of spontaneous out-of-body experiences, which are called SOBEs, the person simply walks out of their body for a few seconds. And it would seem that most of these stories we've covered tonight are more spontaneous. The out-of-body experience, what does an OBE feel like? When experiencing an out-of-body sensation, he or she is a free spirit, able to move around with full faculties while the body remains asleep. Many report being able to see their own body while sometimes experiencing a buzzing sound within the ears. What is amazing is the fact that the senses, sight and sound, seem to remain active during the detachment from the physical body, even though the physical eyes and ears are inactive due to being left behind. However, during the out-of-body experience, it is impossible for one to speak, as the body remains apart from the spirit and faculties. The power of the mind, thought, is used to navigate and travel. It is well known that the more one has an OBEs, the easier it becomes to separate from the body and travel about. There are those who practice having out-of-body experiences, and it is known as astral projection or astral travel. People who have become familiar with astral projection and practice it have sometimes reported struggling to stay separated from the body. The minute the person thinks about the body, he or she may be back in it. The opposite can be true, however, as some report becoming too proficient at astral projection. The out-of-body journeys become so frequent and easy for them to do that they struggle with staying in the body. That'd be pretty cool. Just like, I wonder what Gene's up to. Boom. We cannot help but draw some conclusions about OBEs and what ghosts must face after leaving the body behind. If we understand what it is like to have an out-of-body experience, it is likely that we also will understand some of the challenges and limitations ghosts must feel and face. Imagine trying to communicate with the living without having vocal cords. Imagine having to rely solely on your mind for movement and communication. Imagine the isolation and anguish ghosts must feel if there are not other people with whom you can interact with, but family and friends who cannot see you. Just like astral travelers who learn by practice how to navigate the ethereal realm, we suspect ghosts must also work to improve contact with the living. This is quite possibly why some methods of haunting used by ghosts first appear to be odd behavior to us. Wrappings, movement of objects, touching, etc. are simple ways to get our attention, so the ghost's presence may be recognized. It's a place to start so we know the person without the body is there. During an out-of-body experiences, many believe the spirit remains connected to the body by what is known as the silver cord. This phrase is mentioned in the Bible's Old Testament. It is theorized by some that if the silver cord is severed, then death comes to the body. The spirit animates the flesh, so therefore, when one's physical body dies, it is because the spirit has completely detached and left our physical habitation. We would suggest, however, that the silver cord may only be an allegory used to describe the connection between spirit and the physical makeup. Perhaps with ghosts, the silver cord, the spirit's tie to the body, is broken. Near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences are closely related in our opinion. In both cases, the body remains dormant, while the true person, the spirit, travels about. We have read accounts of witnesses who claim to have seen God and those on the other side during their OBEs and NDEs. The importance of mentioning this is so we can have a better understanding of ghosts and the paranormal, for there is no true death that awaits each of us, only life. Death is the illusion, for we are all spirit, and spirit is energy. It is alive. To leave the body means to still exist in spirit. To exist in spirit is to very much be conscious, aware of one's surroundings, thoughts, feelings, etc. We are all spirits having an earthly experience through physical bodies, but the body is not who we really are, for we are more than meets the eye. Ghosts are proof of our eternal nature, evidence that humanity is a mass of evolving spirits. One friend of mine was ill as a child and found himself confined in a hospital. And this is one we've already read. Why is that still here? It's repeated on this page, huh? I'm sorry, just a sec. I'm just reading through to make sure. Yeah, it's the same. The same story is repeated on that one, so I apologize. But what do you do? Let's read Patricia's out-of-body experience. When I was about 30 years ago, when I was in my 20s, I wasn't feeling very well at work, so I came home and laid down for a while. After I drifted off to sleep, all of a sudden I heard the sweetest voice you could ever imagine in my right ear. Somehow I knew it was an angel. I cannot explain the sound of a voice except to say it was like no other voice I had ever heard. Like the most beautiful music you can ever imagine. This is very similar to that other one too. Okay, but it's different. It's a very similar account though. Anyway, the voice kept telling me to come with it. I instinctively knew what it meant. It wanted me to die, and I kept saying no because I was so afraid of the pain of dying. I grew up in church and believed in God, so I always believed in another life after this one, but the thought of actually dying to me meant there has to be a lot of pain. The voice kept telling me there was no need to be afraid and that there was no pain. I finally remember my spirit being taken from my body like a vacuum. It actually felt like my spirit was being pulled up, and just at the top of my stomach, I was being gently yanked out, but there was absolutely no pain, just a kind of pull. The next thing I remember was looking down at my body and seeing it lying on its side. I knew it was me or where I had been, but I was not afraid. All I can remember is thinking, how can anyone think that that thing, body lying there, was me? It wasn't. It was just a shell. I was not there anymore, but completely away from it. And I felt so free, like I had been released from a prison. I could go or do anything I wanted. There was absolutely no restraints anymore. I kept thinking of just how wonderful I felt and how much pain a person is in, and not really knowing just how much pain until it is gone. It felt like a part of a cool breeze, and I kept thinking, how can anyone grieve for me? It was like I wanted to shout it to the world. Then I realized all of a sudden that the grieving is really for ourselves because of who we are losing and how we are left behind to struggle, and how important just one person is to another, and just the impact one has on another person. And that is when it made sense. It dawned on me just how much we owe others. How this life or spirit isn't just about you. Don't get me wrong, I still grieve just as much as I ever did when I lose someone close. I know they are in a better place, but for me, missing them is the really hard part, and feeling of an empty place left behind where they once occupied. How much is another person's life changed when loved ones are gone? Why I was given this gift, I will never know. I have told my story to people when they are grieving badly for someone they have lost, and it seems to help. The next thing I remember was thinking that I had to go back and raise my children. I had an overwhelming feeling of not being finished. That is when the reality came back, and then the next memory I had was waking up. I had no memory of coming back into my body, but just of waking up. I never heard the voice again after I left my body, and it was like I knew without a doubt that it was an angel. I still have all the problems, pain and depression that comes with this life, but I do know now without a doubt that there is another life after this one. I do know there is a higher being that we have to answer to, and I also believe that what you do in this life, how you treat others, is what it's all about. We are all one part of the whole, and I believe that every person you hurt or help, once you really die, you will have to experience everything and every emotion you ever put this person through, good or bad. So if you are Ted Bundy, then God have mercy on your soul. But if you are Mother Teresa, then God bless you. Be good to each other, and you will experience their joy that you gave them in the end. That was a cool story, very cool, and it's a very profound reaction again that people are having after these experiences. It's very transformative as well. So remember, these are people that aren't expecting these experiences at all, but are somehow given these experiences by some trauma or some illness or whatever, or just by accident, just by being too relaxed. A few of them were just, I just relaxed and boom, I was out of my body. So, but it seems to have a transformative effect. And some of these people are just terrified. It was just a horrible thing for them to be in such a helpless state, and I understand that. I get it. But at the same point, to have that opportunity to see the world and the life and the people in it more holistically, I think is an outstanding thing. And it truly, truly could be a catalyst for a lot of change. But at least they're sharing them here, and and I'm sharing them to you guys. So I hope these are helping. At least it's just to get the big picture. We get so stuck in our little microcosms and issues and dramas that we just forget. We forget so much, and we forget to get out of our little bubbles of drama and our little petty issues and see a big picture, and most people consider seeing a big picture like being aware of the problems overseas and stuff. And I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about politics or, certainly it has to do with a global well-being as well. But I mean, if we just realize that every action we do, it has ripples throughout all of space and time. Everything we do ripples through the entire universe or multiverse or whatever. I mean, what energy we're putting out there is transformative in some way or another. So if you're putting crap out there, it's transformative to generating more crap. Take an internet chat room, for instance, and I'm not trying to, cause any drama anywhere. I mean, any internet chat room you go into, there's the people that get in there and they laugh and talk and share ideas and communicate. And then there's always somebody that comes in and just has to poop on the party. They just have to poop the bed. That's the best they can do because they create drama, because that to them is somehow gratifying. Well, that's a real microcosmic look into life. I mean, what kind of experience do they have? Well, they have a terrible experience, arguing. But some people need that because it's the old, some kind of attention is better than no attention at all. So, a lot of these people that troll these chat rooms and pages, they just want to be noticed because it's an acknowledgement. At the end of the day, it's some kind of acknowledgement. So if we had a holistic idea and a holistic view of our actions and how they ripple out, I don't know. I think it's getting better, though. Like I said, I've said many times, I think we're in a state of transformation on a global scale and interpersonally. You're right, Lichty. Lichty in the TFR chat room said communication is the key. Yeah, absolutely. And positive communication at that. If you can talk, we can work through anything. And if we can accept the idea that people aren't going to share our thoughts. I mean, if anything going on lately, we see it echoed over and over. And I realize this isn't about necessarily out-of-body experiences, but we're talking about getting a new perspective on life and our interrelationship with it. If anything should demonstrate lately, it's just that there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering, but I believe people are waking up. I believe that people are coming out of this deep slumber. And I believe that it has a lot to do with, people like Chris and Cherie and Frank and Ra and Kev Baker and so Anthony Patch, et cetera, the hosts on TFR Live are working really hard towards this transformative ideas, that we need to look at a bigger picture, that we can't accept these canned truths and these propagandas, that we have to look deeper. And I'm not trying to be political. I'm not informed enough to be political. And that's partially by choice and partially by, there's some things that I choose to devote my energy to, and political awareness isn't unfortunately one of them. But, I just think that we're in a state of transformation and people are waking up. There's an energy shift in this world, and I think that it's happening, and hopefully, enough people wake up and create the changes we need. That's the old soapbox again. I get on it every once in a while, ladies and gentlemen, but it comes free with the show. It's like a variety show here. I don't know what the hell that means. But anyway, we're continuing through. We're just about to go to our last break of the night. God, it goes fast. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Again, I can't claim to be overly learned about out-of-body experiences or our astral travel. I really am not. It's not a phenomenon I'm real familiar with. I've heard about it forever, but I've not experienced it, so I can't come from a place of experience and having that kind of knowing. But I can tell you that I think it's an absolutely profound thing. I think it's a very natural ability that we all have, because we are, at the root of every one of us, we are energetic beings. We are not bodies, as that last story told us. We're not bodies. These bodies are shells that our spirit exists within, but exists through and into the entire universe and all that is. So I think these are very profound. So I hope you guys agree. And we're going to take the last break of the night, but make sure you stop by the YouTube page, subscribe. We're trying to get these numbers up, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to jack the portal to the next level. And remember, we are on DTube and DLive, as well as MeWe. I always want to say me. MeWe is another social media we're on. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And you can always catch up with me on my Brent Thomas page as well. So lots of ways to stay in touch with us and see what the hell's going on in the Portal universe. So, but spread the word. Okay, we'll be right back after this last message for the last half hour of our show tonight. Don't go away. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of our show. This is the Paranormal Portal. I am Brent Thomas, and I am thrilled you are here with us. As we're going through the night, all 3,200 plus of you out there, you guys all rock. And it is my distinct pleasure to be speaking to you tonight. And apparently someone else wants to speak to us too, so let's go to the phone line. Mr. Naysay, you're on the air.
Well, hello, my brother. I love you dearly.
I love you too, man. Great to hear from you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I guess if everybody out there is rocking, I guess I can make the proclamation that I'm rolling.
Yes, you are. You're always rolling, brother.
But do you have any room on that soapbox a little bit? No.
Absolutely, man.
But I always enjoy it. I always enjoy it when you go to the soapbox. But I was going to give a call in and share a little bit of my experience from the self-proclamation of a half-breed.
Oh,
of
absolutely.
being Native American descendant and trying to live in accordance to the teaching of my elders and ancestors, if I may indulge you.
Absolutely. By all means.
But from the stories I've been told, when the early frontiersmen would come through North America, the continent, they would come to villages or dwellings or whatnot where people would have bear hides or birch bark scrolls, and they would use these as art, where we didn't have like a written language, but we had kind of like a pictorial, kind of like hieroglyphics, symbols that meant things, like, or a whole story to it. But we also had maps. And some of these early frontiersmen were just amazed at some of these maps. And as time progressed and civilization looks back on the past, they were also amazed to the details of this. And when they were questioned, like, how did you get such details of these? And these elders would say that they're individuals that have the sight for the description of out-of-body experiences, or even in a sense not to shapeshift, but there's been claims where they said, like, the hawk let me borrow their eyes.
Oh, wow.
Or they were able to either through the ether or on this ethereal realm to transcend their own body and look down and see the details, which would be the whole astral projection.
That is really cool. That's really profound. My own experience, when I first started learning about astral projection, and I would try to do it with well, there's a bunch of different modalities if you research on it. The one thing that I really like with any kind of dreaming state is trying to find light switches and turning them off and on, which I have found to be the simplest in my own, before I would go to bed, I would make my intentions of remembering, my dreams, because the Native American, we take a high regards to our dreams. There are some claims that our dream reality is the real reality, and this is the false reality. Yeah.
Which is incredible in itself, because what you can do in the dream reality comparatively what we forgot to be able to do in this reality. And I used to have this one reoccurring incident that I have still to this day have put it in two categories. And it was either a past life, a dream a memory of a past life, or I've even pondered it being on another world.
Okay.
And what it was is where I had the ability to run and start making like leaps.
Mm-hmm.
And in these leaps, as I continued the leaps, they kept getting more boundless and boundless. Like at an exponential rate, I was able to leap further and further.
Oh, cool.
And when I was in high school and in geography class, there was I can't remember if it was Montana or Kansas or Wyoming. And when I was going through these pictures of these states, and there was some type of prairie picture in it, and for the life of me, when I saw this particular image, and it wasn't quite a topographical where you're really looking straight down, but you're kind of at a high elevation looking down on it. And when I saw that, right away I got the goosebumps, and I'm like, this was where I was running.
Oh, cool. Where was it?
In my dream.
Right. But where was the map of where? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It was of the United States.
Oh, okay.
It was of the United States, and I couldn't remember if it was like Kansas, Montana, or Wyoming, but it was kind of, in that area.
Yep.
Because it was like prairie grass.
Wow. That is really cool.
And then, go ahead, sorry.
I just was going to say that's really cool, and the cool thing of that is that's actually a dream that I can remember having too. Although my leaps weren't getting exponentially bigger, but I could run all day, bouncing off of running up and down hills, bouncing off of rocks, and making these great leaps and landing and never getting labored, never getting tired, never getting no pain, nothing. It was just this freedom of running continually that was just absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, I guess if we go into the whole psychological aspect of it, the freedom, of it, and it reminds me of riding horses or riding my motorcycle when you're out there and, on the back roads and stuff, and just getting that feeling of that ultimate freedom, which we all strive to have, which is totally attainable, even though you may be confined to your little compartment that you're stuck in, because through the utilization of these modalities of getting into that dream state, the possibilities and plausibilities are endless, because once we get into the universe, inner verse, the verse, within yourself, that's boundless, your imagination. And it's ironic, I think, if we step back and we look at today's society and what we're being shown through the entertainment, where we're really losing what Disney is claiming, capturing your imagination.
There's a lot of power in words, isn't there?
Absolutely. And it's incredible that we have the abilities to do that, in that recognition of the word patterns and making sure that your spelling is correct as we cast them.
Yeah.
But brother, thank you again for all you share with us, and I would suggest dream journals, just constantly writing your experiences and going to bed with those intentions, because my ancestors have always said that we are gifted, but we've been taught conditioned, programmed to forget. So don't bother, people. Go back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Amen, brother. But I like that suggestion. That's a great one. And dream journals, and it's something that I've always thought was a great idea. But it's one of those things that I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow night. I'll do it the next night. No, I'll get to it next week. Time passes and suddenly you've got nothing. So yeah, those can be great for introspection and looking at the patterns and to see if something's coming to you and if you're supposed to be getting a message. Yeah, the dream journals are awesome. Great suggestion.
Right. And when you do start making the dream journals, and then you can start differentiating between lucid dreaming and astral projection and dreams and messages, you'll start recognizing those patterns. Because as you were talking about the whole order and chaos, to bring that into it, in the scientific realm, they do something 1,000 times and it validates the theory. But then that 1,001, something throws the theory off. So there is no absolute in science. Just as you were talking about, you'll have 1,000 people that are on a website being all nice to each other, and you'll get that one person that throws it off.
Yeah.
And with that stated, sometimes a dream is just a dream. Right. However, if you can utilize that dream to help you make the choice to be within love without fear, then more power to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You always bring a good light to the show, brother. Thank you so much.
Well, that's only because you're such a light in my darkness there, sir.
Well, I'm doing my best to shine for you, but thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you calling in. And by the way, don't forget to send me that sound file.
Yes, actually, I'm still trying to find the cassette tape. Does anybody remember what those are?
Oh, that's great. Well, when you find it, I'll be waiting for you, brother.
All right, toodles.
All right,
and hello, chat room.
Oh yeah, they both were talking about you, and he hung up on me. Oh, he hung up too fast. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Naysay. We appreciate hearing from you. The guy's always brilliant about his examination of the language, and that's so powerful. When you think about language and you think about, the whole theorem of magic is to manifest or to create change, and one of the absolute major blocks of any kind of casting is intention and words to create that vibration, because the voice is the one thing that manifests something from a purely energetic realm into the physical realm. It is the first manifestation of creation is sound. It's the most fundamental manifestation of the creation mechanism. So, don't take words lightly, ladies and gentlemen. They are absolutely profound. So another one of my 2 cents. Okay, so we are continuing our journey here tonight into the world of out-of-body experiences, astral travel, astral projection. I should have put those into those other titles into my promo, but I didn't. I just used out-of-body experience. But astral projection, astral travel are synonymous as well. This one is a pet out-of-body experience. My pet dog, Pekingese, it's a Pekingese mix Maltese, named Bandit, passed away Valentine's Day 2005 at the age of 5 unexpectedly. He was sick 3 months straight, and while the veterinary specialist was performing a myelogram, he passed. I was devastated because he was my child, for I have no children, and he was my most loving dog. He went everywhere with me. Almost a month later, I went to bed one night and woke up out of my body. I sat up, looked around. and saw my dog's sister, Scarlet, still asleep beside me. She's my twin sister's dog, and she slept with me a lot. The walls in the room turned dark, and there was Bandit laying against my leg and looking up at me. He was young again, happy, and wagging his tail. He then jumped down, and I told him I loved him. I told him I loved him. He then ran over to a white bowl on the floor and started drinking, and then ran off into the distance, looking back at me, wagging his tail. I then woke up, sitting up. I know it was an out-of-body experience. It was so real. I ran into my twin's room and told her about it. My dog proved to me that there is life after death for animals. I still miss him, and I know he's happy. That's a beautiful story. Yeah, I don't know how some people can possibly suggest that the only thing with spirit is people. That the only things that have a soul is people, because by virtue of it being alive, by virtue of it having an awareness, it has a soul of some kind. But there's a lot of fundamental people, as far as fundamental church people in Christianity, that would state that, animals don't have a soul. I tell you, I've met dogs with more soul than most people I know. All right. When I was about 2, I remember taking a nap with my mom in her bed. But I can recall waking up over top of my mom's bed. I wasn't in my body, though. I was looking at me and my mom sleeping. I remember feeling myself floating closer to the roof, but then I fell back into my body. And that's all I can remember about that first out-of-body experience. My other OBE experience I can remember much better because it occurred to me when I was 15 years of age. I was lying in the bed with my mom taking a nap. They only seem to happen when I'm taking naps next to my mom. And my mom had gotten out of bed for some reason, and as she was walking out of the room, all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and I felt my body forcefully sitting up a little bit as if my back was halfway off the bed. I remember reaching my arm out to my mom and screaming for her, but no words came out of my mouth. My mom had already walked out of the room. Then I felt a hard force rip me back into my body, kind of like a jolt, and I woke up screaming. My mom came into the room and asked me what's wrong. I replied, "You didn't hear me screaming for you. I couldn't breathe and you left me." My mom just said no. If I were to tell her what had happened, she probably wouldn't believe me. Those are my experiences, and it's the first time I ever told anybody. That's, this possible. I don't know. They're very brief, but again, those are the sudden OBE. On November 24th, 2005, the day we celebrated Thanksgiving, I was enjoying the usual fellowship with family and friends, thinking about my mother who had passed away exactly 1 year ago on the same holiday. I started having burning pains in my throat and my arms grew numb. Excuse me. This happened to me 3 times, and by the 3rd occurrence, I knew something bad was happening to me. I went to my husband and told him that I thought I was having a heart attack. "Let's go to the hospital now," I told him. We left immediately. On the way to the hospital, the pain ceased. We rushed into the emergency room, and they knew immediately that a heart attack was in progress. I was bombarded with nurses bringing an aspirin to give me, and then 2 nitroglycerin tablets to try to control the attack. Within a couple of minutes of the medication being administered, I went into cardiac arrest. To the surprise of my husband and the hospital emergency room staff, I flatlined. This is where the real story begins. Although the other people around me may have thought that I was unconscious, my spirit was more alive than ever and left my body lying on the bed. As I was leaving the bed, I knew that what was happening, and I saw for the first time in a year my beautiful mother standing before me at the foot of the bed. Beside her stood my sister, who too had passed away 1 month before my mother. There was a host of heavenly angels or people that had also passed on before. I could not believe what my eyes were seeing before me. The colors of the clothing were some of the most beautiful, vibrant colors I have ever seen. These colors do not exist on earth. My mother was wearing a shiny, purple robe-like dress adorned with shimmering gold trim. Above her head was the most amazing sight, a gold crown that was shaped like the moon and sat atop of her head. Judy, my wonderful sister, was wearing a tall gold crown and dressed in robes of white. I was so in shock and amazed that I cannot find words to describe my feelings at the moment. I did not know what to think. Both of their heavenly bodies were younger and more beautiful than imaginable. There were no blemishes, wrinkles, nothing but perfect skin. That was God's gift to them, and when they returned to him in heaven. As I was leaving my earthly body, Mother lifted her crown, and the crowd of people behind her bowed down. My spiritual body rose above my mother's head. As she lifted the crown, I saw her amazing black hair with perfect curls that shined like the sun. Instantly, I went behind her and entered the hallway of the hospital. I looked down at my spiritual body and realized that I was wearing the same clothing that I had as I entered the hospital a few minutes earlier. I took 5 steps towards the curtain where my body lay. I saw the doctor at the head of the bed, his arms crossed, one hand on his cheek, and he said to the nurses, "Hit it." In a flash, I was back inside the body where I realized my heart had been shocked back to life. I looked up at the doctor who was standing over me to my left, crying. He looked at my husband and told him, "I'm sorry, there's nothing else we can do here." He asked if we wanted to transport to Gadsden or Birmingham. I replied, Gadsden. Ambulance lights flashing, we hit the interstate in a hurry to get me to the hospital in Gadsden. Within 20 minutes, my heart gave up and I flatlined once again. This time around, I felt something that I cannot put into words. There was someone with me, not of this earth, but from the heavens. I felt his presence, and he was lifting me out of my body. The Holy Spirit surrounded my heart and soul and embraced me in a pure love and peace, like nothing that I had ever known before. The overwhelming feeling of love that washed over me was so strong and overpowering that I fell into a peaceful trance. I wish that I could share this feeling with others or find words to describe it. However, this is not possible. This love is unknown to our world because God is so big and his power is so strong that only in heaven will we be able to comprehend, feel, experience this emotion. But I was blessed to have felt this, and I will never forget it. This is a lot of story left. Holy God. Since suddenly I felt a stinging feeling in my left side, like a bee had stung me, I reached back to find a wire in my side where I had been shocked once again. I knew then that they had shocked my heart back to life for a second time. This is when the ambulance arrived in a frenzy. I was rushed out of the vehicle. One of my sisters was standing outside the hospital and told me the family was all on the way up to meet us there. I knew I had to fight to live. I made the decision to do so. They rushed me into surgery. In an instant, the doctor came out and spoke to the family. That was then he informed them all that he did not think that he could save me. On the operating table, there was a spiritual battle going on, and I could not see who I was talking to, but I was arguing and pleading my case to live with the hosts from the other side. I was not afraid to die, for I knew the beautiful life waiting for me on the other side, but I was not ready to leave this earth. I still wanted to live here and to spend more time with my family and friends, experience more of the beauty that surrounds us. I wanted to take more time to enjoy all it is that was created for us by the Father in heaven. Needless to say, my loved ones, and most of all me, were all blessed with the miracle that day. After I woke from surgery, the doctor stood by my side and said it was because of someone up in heaven that I was alive. The doctor put a stent in my heart. He said that I had suffered a massive heart attack, or better known as the Widowmaker heart attack. To the doctor's surprise, he informed the family that I had beat the odds and survived the heart attack and surgery. He explained to everyone that this type of heart attack is not the one that very many people are able to survive. In short, I should be dead. The story goes on a little more, but we only have about a minute left of the show, so I just want to thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly love doing the show and being here with you every Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday. Remember, tomorrow night we will be joined by Philip Torres, the Obake Hunter from Hawaii, Haunted Hawaii. Will be joining us here on the portal, 10 p.m. Pacific time. And Don will be here as well. So don't miss tomorrow night's episode, ladies and gentlemen. It should be a blast. And if you're listening to TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream, Stay tuned for Jimmy Jean Into the Microcosm coming up next. He will have a journey for you, to be sure. An eclectic journey. His shows are always a lot of fun to listen to. So, hope you guys are wonderful. Thank you. Have a great night. Love you all. Be nice to each other. Be kind. Take care of each other. And we will be back tomorrow night for more of the mayhem that is the Portal. So take care, everybody. I love you all. And we'll see you tomorrow night here on the Portal. And on YouTube, of course, for the live stream. Take care, everybody. Love ya.
Woo!